Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. I'll introduce myself in just a second. Well, I guess I should probably introduce myself right now, right? Uh, so my name is Mr. Hancock. You may have me for quite a few classes here at Utah Virtual. I think some of you guys are putting questions that, am I a police officer? No, I'm not a police officer. I'm an educator. I've done all the courses and that kind of stuff to learn about it. I have a minor in criminal justice, so I know a little bit about law enforcement, but I haven't gone through a lot of the wild scenarios that I would say that there's out there, and there's a lot of wild scenarios for sure in the world. So, but yeah. So once again, my name is Mr. Hancock. I've been teaching at Utah Virtual Academy, I think, for 6+ years. Can't remember exactly how long. It's been a while. Somebody said that's what an undercover cop would say. Yeah, true. But I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be an undercover cop. You may have me for a bunch of other classes. I teach like geography, personal finance, driver's ed, a whole slew of classes. So please feel free to take any of the classes you want from me. Love to have you. So this class is Introduction to Criminal Justice. So I've taught this for a year or so, and it will be, it kind of gets interesting sometimes, just kind of talking about the way law works and that kind of stuff, and the way the enforcement of the law happens. So, but thanks for being with me. Just so you know, this lesson is being recorded for learning purposes. And when we're in the live lesson, what I ask you to do is just follow along with the Nearpod lesson. If you're able to, I am putting the link in the chat so you can follow along there. Oh, it didn't post. Hold on. There we go. If you can follow along, if you can't, you're on a phone or something, just if you have questions and want to respond, just do so in the chat, and we'll kind of get through there. But just make sure we're like respectful and appropriate in the chat as we're kind of going through there. Here's a little bit about me. It's my wife, Christy. She actually teaches for Utah Virtual Academy too. She's a first grade teacher. And then I got 3 kids. They're a lot older now. This is an old picture. But Brooklyn is my oldest. She's actually taking, she's a part-time student at Utah Virtual Academy. And then I have Kaysen and Kaylor, and they're just younger in elementary school there. So what we're going to do today, we're going to look at the history of law enforcement across the timelines and stuff like that. And what I usually do, I'm going to go through the course just so you can kind of see what you need to do. So I'd love for you guys to join my live class, but if you're unable to join the live class, I do record these. If you want to jump forward, I do have like previous recordings too, and you can go there and you can watch those and go faster in the course if you like, whatever. So here on the course announcements, I'm going to try to put each week kind of what's going on. So you got a recorded lesson right here. This will be whatever recording here is going to go right here, but there is an old course in there, or old class that has the same content in it. Today we'll have a Unit 1 quiz that's assigned, but it will not be due till the next Wednesday. So that's kind of how that works. If we jump into content here, you can see there's going to be 6 units that we're going to go in. And we always have like a recording, a Nearpod link. So you can either watch the recording or do the Nearpod link, whichever one you want. Sometimes people don't want to listen to videos. They just want to get the content and get out, which is fine. The information to the quizzes are in the Nearpod or the lesson recording, or in one of them, right? And then sometimes I have other information in there too. So I will be going over in the Nearpod. So if we jump to the quiz real quick, One of the good things about coming to the live class or watching the recording is I do give hints, okay? So if we're going to look at the quiz here, and I apologize, my computer's a little bit slow today. Probably just needs to restart. Okay, come on. Okay, there we go. So, for example, you can see right here, what's justice, right? Indictment, police, an informant, and then this one's kind of weird. It's kind of broken up to page 2. Common law and crime. Okay. So if you don't get the score you like on quizzes, you can retake them again. Okay. I have them set up so you can basically get the grade you want. So it just depends on how determined you are to do that. Okay. So that's how you do it. If you want to skip ahead and get done with those things, go right ahead, but just make sure you get things done before the due dates. Okay. How many times you take it? As many times as you want. Okay. All right. Let's get on with the content here. Get rolling. All right. So policing activity. You've probably seen it on television shows, real life, all that kind of stuff. But you have like patrolling, right? People that police officers give you tickets, right? Traffic enforcement, canines. I don't know if you've ever been. I was in an airport this last summer, and they actually had canines kind of walk through at each of us. It was kind of interesting as we were going through the line. SWAT teams, gang unit, undercover, and no, I'm not an undercover cop, whoever said that before. Crime prevention, right? So like the DARE officers, all that stuff. Corrections. We're going to talk quite a bit about corrections, and the United States incarcerates the most people in the entire world, right? So we have our prisons and jails are completely full. Okay. Dispatch, right? So you're calling the 911. Who answers that? School resource officers, detectives, forensics, all kinds of things. Okay. So really kind of cool stuff here. All right. There has been some stereotypes a little bit put on police officers. Okay. So like that it's kind of, sometimes it's really cool, or sometimes you got the cop that all they do is drink coffee and eat donuts, right? Or there's really funny ones that are, some are unethical or whatever. That's all good and fair, but really what you need to know is it is a job. It's a harder job. And taking CTE classes, that's what you're here to do, is just kind of get a little bit of glimpse of it to see if that's something you want to do, okay, in the future. This is, by the way, one course of 2. So if you take both of my courses, so this one is Introduction to Criminal Justice, and then I have Introduction to Corrections next block. So if you're good with this class and you want to take the next one, would be happy for you guys to jump in it. One thing that they do have now, this is brand new, they do have what's called a skills test at the end of this class. So what you can do is at the very end, I'll have some time where you could come into a class, you take the information that we did, and you just do a little test. If you get 80% or above, you get a state certificate saying that you passed. So it's really good to kind of show that you understand what's going on. Okay, we're going to watch a quick little video real quick. If it does lag, you might want to just pause it on my screen and play it on your computer. And that's why you have the Nearpod there. But let's listen to this and then we'll move forward.
All right, we've been seeing images of police officers from all over the country for 9 days now responding to these demonstrations and these protests nationwide. But did you know there was a time when we as a country, America, did not have an organized police force anywhere in the entire country? So let's go beyond the headline this morning and take a look at the history of the police force in America.
The law enforcement system we have today wasn't shaped until the mid-1950s. Back in colonial times, there were no police officers. Communities would simply hire someone to act as night watch. It wasn't very effective. Most of the time, the watchman would sleep through his shift or get drunk. The first time we saw an organized law enforcement system was just before the Civil War. Cities set up what they called a slave patrol, a group to prevent slave revolts and hunt down runaway slaves. After the war, these groups switched more to enforcing segregation. And as time went on, police forces focused mostly on protecting businesses in big cities from union organizers and crime rings. The problem? Police forces were controlled by local politicians. In 1929, President Hoover created the Wickersham Commission to look at how effective law enforcement was nationwide. The results of that commission led to the creation of independent police precincts that were separate from political parties and are more similar to what we have today.
All right, over the last year, CBS News has surveyed more than 150 police departments.
Oh, I didn't realize I turned off my camera too. Okay, well, that just kind of told us a little bit about like what the history of police forces was. It goes back farther than that too, but honestly, like as they talked about the night watch, right? So just people coming in and raiding the thing, but nobody ever watched. They just went and drank or fell asleep, right? Which evolved to more and more kind of stuff that goes on today. But I want to ask you guys real quick here on the Nearpod, or you can answer in the chat. What have your interactions been with law enforcement? Okay. So somebody said at school when I did in person. Yep. So you got school like resource officers, right? Make this a little bit bigger. Literally nothing. Enforcement cops are. Yeah. So like sometimes we don't have any interactions with them, right? Sometimes they're bad interactions because they got tickets, right? I got my backpack looked through because they thought I was stealing something on holiday. Yep. Happens, right? We talked when our car was broken into once. Yep. Somebody was pulled over, been questioned by the police when they came to your house after a car accident, right? So a lot of times when you see police officers, it's in a traumatizing situation a little bit, right? Transit officers, store officers, school officers, they came to your house. School cop left. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's not good. You crashed your mom's car. Not good. Being pulled over. Yeah, dad almost got in a ticket. Okay. House got squatted. Oh, geez. Somebody started living here again. Not good. My cousin's going. Ooh, wow. Yep. So you can see a lot of times, I mean, some of them are good experiences, right? Like somebody says like the Red Ribbon Week, you know, school resource officers, they talk to you and that kind of stuff. But a lot of it is when you're maybe in trouble or you're that. So there are some like negative sentiments towards police officers. You know, somebody said they got chased by the police. So, I mean, you have good or both ways, right? So sometimes people disdain the police, right? But some people look at them as heroes too. So it could be one way or another, right? But it's just, hopefully this will kind of get you to kind of an understanding of why they do things in certain ways and that kind of stuff. Okay. All right. So justice. Okay. So justice is defined as what is right and fair, a standard of fairness where is judged whether each person is rewarded for what he or she does. Okay. And who determines what is right or fair? So that's a good question. Okay. Which comes first, laws or morality? Okay. As we grow as a people, that's what's interesting is our laws are based around the culture that's going on right now, right? So in some areas, we're going to talk about in some areas of the world eventually that things are okay there that would not be okay here, right? And it's all about the different perspective that comes with. So what these feelings that are created, like the United States has a big like patriotism, right? We're a fairly religious country compared to others. We have a really big basis on family a lot and friends. And these ideas kind of make up like the morality. And so with that, we kind of judge kind of people like that. Okay, so those that make the laws, and it's actually happening right now. There is up on the Utah State Capitol, they're holding session where they're making laws right now, right? And those laws are created by legislatures, and they're put in place, and then they're enforced by the executive branch, that kind of stuff. So they're the ones that have like the decisions to make the laws, and the police are the ones who enforce those laws. Okay. All right. So here's another question for you. It looks like the other question caused a lot of chat in the chat. So, all right. So is it feasible for a law enforcement to enforce all laws all the time? What do you guys think? Okay. So now we're getting upon like discretion, right? Yeah, some people that don't need to be enforced all the time. Yeah. So I must not be an undercover cop, because I'm going to tell you, I've broken the law sometimes, right? I went and I've sped sometimes, done other things, you know what I mean, that are probably jaywalked. Nothing I guess would be egregious, but who says that jaywalking is any worse than stealing? What do you guys think? Is jaywalking worse than stealing? Okay, so that's where our morality kind of comes in. We feel that some things are more egregious than others, right? And so law enforcement goes and they have to use their judgment as they're going through there. And it's hard sometimes, right? Because each of us have our different, I guess, little conscience, I guess you'd kind of call it, of what that is, okay? So why aren't they enforced? Because there's a lack of public consensus that laws should be enforced. The widespread violation, right? Like, like jaywalking, right? Speeding. You get on the freeway, speed limit is supposed to be 70 miles an hour or 75. Everybody's going over, right? Okay, limited manpower, low priorities. So here's some widely non-enforced things like polygamy, right? They don't go and arrest people anymore for polygamy. Jaywalking, curfew. How many of you guys have stayed up past curfew? Probably. Some types of traffic laws, speeding, improper turns, vehicle condition, truancy, right? Okay. All right. You're going to want to watch this, because this is going to give you a 50-50 chance of getting each question right, because this is going to go over all the questions in the quiz. So if you listen to anything right now, listen to this. Okay. I'm going to have you guys put in the chat what you think it is. Justice, is it the act of something that is against the law, or to summon one to do right? Okay, we got a consensus there. Okay. Oh, sorry. Let me go back. Okay, so B. Sorry. Okay, so next. What about indictment? Is it a formal written accusation submitted by the court alleging that person has committed some offense, usually a felony, or is it laws based on custom? Okay. I think you guys are getting the answers. So just remember these. Police, the act of something that is against the law, or a governmental department for keeping order. Okay. So you got these. These are easy. And an information, a formal written accusation submitted by the court prosecutor alleging that a person has committed a specific crime, or the act of something that is against the law. Okay, I'm not stumping you guys very well. Okay, common law, a law formally written accusation submitted by the court prosecutor alleging that they committed a specific crime, or a law based on a country's customs. Okay, you guys are doing good. Last one, crime, the act of something that is against the law or to summon one to do right. Okay, you're going to have a lot more possible answers, but this just broke it down to you 50-50. I think you guys all did an awesome job. Okay, so just remember that. Okay, let's go a little bit more over the history real quick, and then I'll get you guys out of here. So law was the first law that was ever written down that we know of was called the Code of Hammurabi. It's the first set of written laws, started in 2000 BC in Babylon, and it was enforced by what they call messengers. So they were kind of like the first police officers, okay? The Greek word police means city or state, and that's where we came up with the word police. The history of law in 1200 BC, the Assyrian Empire started a court system. 700 BC, Egypt marine or customs police. 400 BC, Persian Empire, police to protect the roads and postal service. Okay. In the United States, we come over here. James Madison pushed the first Congress to discuss what we call the Bill of Rights. So now we're having like our customs, right? Our common law become written down and becoming there, right? So one of the things, the first thing they thought about was freedom of religion. That's one of the things they wanted. Separation of church and state. Those kind of things are now morphing into what we believe, right? They proposed 124 amendments. They got down to the 10, which was called the Bill of Rights, which we're just going to talk a little bit about those, because the Bill of Rights is what really protects us from law enforcement and what they have to do, right? So for example, Amendment number 1 talks about freedom of religion, freedom of exercising free speech, peaceably protest, petition government for grievances. Okay. Number 2, probably heard about this one, the right to bear arms. I'm not going to go through all 10 of them just because I'm just going to pick out the main ones that are important to hear. Number 4, okay, the right to secure a person's house. They have to get a warrant before they do things, right? They have to have at least probable cause before they can like search your car or anything like that. Search and seizure, that kind of stuff. So police have to follow this constitutional amendment. Number 5, you'll not be subject to what's called double jeopardy. So you can't be charged with the same exact crime twice. Okay. And you can't be a witness against yourself. That's why you probably heard the phrase, I plead the 5th, right? Saying I don't want to incriminate myself there. The 6th is the right to a speedy trial. And then also that you have to be able to confront your accusers. And then the 8th one is excessive bail and not have cruel or unusual punishment. And those are the main ones that we'll be talking about going through there. Okay. All right. This is the very end. So let me just do something real quick. I'm going to get the slides and I'm going to open them up all the way. So that means you can skip through the slides as much as you want, particularly when you go and do your lesson or your Unit 1 quiz, okay? That will help you with some of that, okay? All right, so I'm going to leave you guys to it. Here is my contact information if you need it. I would prefer you email me, but if you need some more immediate response, I can't guarantee that it's going to be immediate at all. That's like a Google number you guys can text or call. But that's it, okay? So I will stick after if you guys have any questions, concerns, anything like that. But remember, this week you have Unit 1 quiz. If you want to move ahead, please do so. Definitely encourage that. So I'm going to stop the recording, and I'll stay after for any questions.